Chapter 46-43. After hearing this, Huasiqian was completely petrified. Get married? In a week? Huasiqian looked at Huamin in disbelief and then looked at Suyu. No way. Don't tease me. Why would I tease you? The wedding is next month and we got our marriage certificate a week ago. Oh right, remember to come for a drink on the 8th of next month. Suyu stood up and patted Huasiqian's stiff shoulder. Speaking of the 8th of next month, there was another story. Originally, the expert that Lord Su found was looking at the 26th of next month. However, Suyu refused no matter what. He said that it was too far away and that a long night might lead to trouble. He asked the expert to choose again and the expert chose the 12th. Suyu still thought it was too far away and insisted on getting married on the 1st or the 2nd. The expert told Lord Su that it was not suitable to get married on the 1st or the 2nd as it would offend the White Tiger planet. Only then did he give up. In the end, the expert had no choice but to pick a good date on the 8th of the first 10 days. Only then did he appease Suyu. It was obvious how anxious he was to get married. That was why he told Huasiqian that he would get married on the 8th of next month. Huasiqian still didn't believe it. After all, this was too sudden. He knew that Huamin had always been reliable, so he looked at Huamin and asked. Sister Mion, is what he said true? Are you two teaming up to mess with me? It's true. Remember to bring more gifts so that the Hua family won't be embarrassed, Huamin said coldly. Then why didn't you tell Dad about such a big thing like getting married? Huasiqian continued to laugh. I don't think that's necessary. After all, this is my own business. Huamin's face was still cold. Huasiqian shook his head helplessly. All right, my willful little sister. Now that you've gotten close to the Su family, you don't want to acknowledge us anymore. Please take care of our family's business in the future. President Hua, you're exaggerating. I wouldn't dare take care of you. With you around, the Hua family won't go bankrupt. The conversation between Huamin and Huasiqian had always been on point. Suyu was already used to it. Originally, he was worried that this pervert would have designs on Huamin. However, in this world, because they were siblings, Huasiqian was quite honest. Moreover, Huasiqian had a bunch of women outside. It was said that he had already given birth to a few illegitimate children. It seemed that his ambition was his career, not Huamin. This way he had one less enemy. He was in a good mood. Huasiqian was just a small interlude. After the two of them finished dinner, Suyu drove Huamin home. During this period of time, Huamin had gotten used to eating with Suyu and having him drive him home. It was strange. They hadn't known each other for long, so there should be a strong sense of unfamiliarity. However, Huamin always felt that he had known Suyu for a long time. Every time he called her Mion, she felt that it was very familiar. On the way back in the car, Huamin was a little thirsty. Suyu quickly picked up the mineral water beside him and handed it to him. Then he even helped to turn the steering wheel. Be careful and watch the road. Seeing Suyu's hands leave the steering wheel, Huamin was scared out of his wits. I'll drive slower. Drink slowly. Don't choke. Suyu stared at Huamin's side profile and slowed down the car. Huamin drank a few mouthfuls of water and glanced at Suyu. Suyu. Call me hubby. Huamin, not again, of course. We're already legally married. Have you ever heard a wife call her husband Zhang-san or Li-Si? After hearing Suyu's explanation, Huamin couldn't help but laugh. However, he accepted Suyu's explanation. Therefore he changed his words. Hubby, I have a question for you. Wait, I'll record it. Call me that again. Suyu turned on the recording function on his phone. What? Huamin was confused. Then she said, Suyu, in this life I'll give my heart to you. Protect it well. Don't lose it. After Huamin finished speaking, Suyu's tears immediately flowed out. God knows how long he had waited for this moment all these years. Suyu suddenly slowed down the car and stopped at the edge of the bridge. Then he cupped Huamin's face and kissed her passionately. He only hoped that this kiss would last until the end of time. I've finally waited for this moment. Chapter 46-45. Huamin's response was the greatest gift to Suyu. After so many years of hard work, Suyu finally got his reward today. Because the bridge was a freeway, parking was not allowed. Soon the traffic police drove over. Sir, parking is not allowed here. Suyu turned his head. The traffic police was dumbfounded. Young Master Su, it's you. The weather is good today. My wife and I came to the bridge to kiss. What's wrong? Is it against the law? No, no, please continue. Sorry to disturb you. The traffic police was so scared that he quickly drove away. Suyu picked up Huamin and wanted to kiss her. That's enough. You have to follow the traffic rules. Huamin pushed him away and ran into the car shyly. Suyu cursed the traffic police thousands of times in his heart. Honey, do you want a Chinese wedding or a Western wedding? I'm fine with either. Huamin was not picky. Then we'll have both, Suyu said. That's too wasteful. One is enough. You only get married once in a lifetime, what's there to be afraid of? Oh right, my mom said that the wedding dress will be flown back from Italy next Monday. I'll pick you up and try it on. If it doesn't fit, we can change it in time. Is it in a hurry? It has to be in a hurry. Okay. Huamin had no objections to these details. We'll write the ring. You don't have to buy the ring. It's just a formality. Nonsense, the ring has already been ordered, but it's not with me yet. It'll be flown over tomorrow night. Suyu had really put in a lot of effort for this wedding. Although Huamin said that they had to keep a low profile. The Su family's low profile was still 10,000 times more luxurious than other families. Do you have a bridesmaid in mind? Suyu asked her. Yes. Zhu Lingling. How do you know Lingling? Huamin clearly remembered that he had never mentioned Zhu Lingling to Suyu. Moreover, Lingling had been flying overseas and hadn't returned for more than a month. She didn't even know how she met Suyu. I heard Jixing mention her once. He said she's your best friend. Suyu guiltily found an excuse. Huamin didn't notice anything strange and nodded. He's my best friend. I only have one good friend. Yes, you have to invite her. I've already asked someone to make a bridesmaid's dress according to her measurements. Suyu was very thoughtful and Huamin felt at ease. She didn't know why, but she, who had never believed in flash marriages, actually felt that her wedding with Suyu was destined this time. Soon they arrived at Huamin's house. Huamin was about to get out of the car, but Suyu didn't want her to leave and hugged her tightly in his arms. I'm getting out. Good girl, let me hug you for a while. Suyu felt like he was dreaming. If he woke up now and realized that it was all a dream, he would probably have a mental breakdown. It would probably be more painful than death. He only had one wish in his life. Now that he had the beauty in his arms, he really didn't want anything else. Stop fooling around, it's late, Huamin whispered shyly. Honey, let's play a game. What game? Huamin was indeed too naive. Why would he play a game with Suyu in the middle of the night? Promise me first. Okay, I promise you, Huamin answered innocently. Then Suyu's restless hand began to rub her back. He touched the edge of her underwear. The name of this game is Guess Your Bust Size. After Suyu finished speaking, he began to touch her back even more unscrupulously. Chapter 46-46. When Huamin realized what was going on, he realized that he had been tricked by Suyu again. Huamin was so angry that he jumped up and hit Suyu's head with both hands. Looking from afar, it was as if a young couple was showing off their love. Okay. Go back now. Auntie will be worried. Suyu couldn't stop laughing. Just wait for tomorrow, Huamian yelled, still not satisfied. Don't worry, you have a lifetime to deal with me. Suyu laughed. Huamin was a bit uncomfortable, perhaps because he wasn't used to Suyu's sudden words of love. After Huamin got out of the car, his hair was a bit messy, probably because he was messing around with Suyu. As usual, Suyu watched her walk back to the yard. Just then their neighbor Auntie Wu walked up to Huamin. Auntie Wu. It was quite awkward to run into Auntie Wu at this time. You're back so late. As Auntie Wu said this, she looked at the black Audi not far away, trying to see who was sitting inside. Oh, I was having dinner with a friend. Huamin smiled. Mion, Auntie Wu doesn't want to nag you, but I watched you grow up. You can't be like those girls out there. What do you mean by hooking up with a rich man or being a mistress? We're poor, but we have to be ambitious, right? Auntie Wu held a fan and started lecturing Huamin. Huamin knew that Auntie Wu must have misunderstood, so he smiled and didn't say anything. Just as he was about to turn around and go in, he heard Suyu call from behind, Honey, you left your charger in the car. Huamin's body froze. When Auntie Wu heard the word honey, her eyes almost popped out. Then Suyu swaggered over with a charger in his hand. Actually, this wasn't Huamin's fault at all. He probably heard the neighbor's unpleasant words and wanted to help Huamin get out of this situation. Mion, this is... When Auntie Wu heard this kid call Huamin his wife, She was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. I'm Huamin's husband. Hello, Auntie, Suyu greeted her generously. Hubby. Myung, when did you get married? Auntie Wu asked in surprise. Without waiting for Huamin to speak, Suyu continued, about a week ago. We got our marriage certificate. The wedding will be on the 8th of next month. Auntie, remember to come and drink. Why didn't your mom tell you about this, Mion? Auntie Wu was obviously surprised. Yang Meirong didn't tell anyone about her marriage with the Su family. It was like her daughter losing a rich husband. That wasn't Yang Meirong's style. Su Yu's attempt to help her was unnecessary. Huamin didn't care about what others thought. After sticking around for a while, Su Yu reluctantly left. That night, the news of Huamin marrying a rich man spread throughout the streets and alleys of the civilian district. Auntie Wu only knew that Huamin's man was rich and drove a black Audi. She didn't know what he did. Then she said that the young man was handsome and young. Huamin was really lucky. When Huamin went to work the next morning, even the old man selling breakfast on the street gossiped. Girl, you're so lucky. I heard you married a rich man. It's not a lot of money. Huamin felt awkward. At Southside, when Huamian arrived at work, her colleagues surrounded her and hugged her. Mian, why did you resign all of a sudden? Seriously, we can't bear to part with you. Resign? Huamin was confused again. Chapter 46-47. Huamin didn't even know about her resignation. Seeing her confused face, her colleague reminded her, the hospital released an announcement this morning saying that you've resigned. You're here today to go through the paperwork. Huamin swore that she didn't know anything. At this moment, an elegant voice came from behind. Mion. Auntie Su. Huamin turned around and saw Su Yu's mother. I was the one who helped you quit your job. Lady Su smiled. Huamin was still in disbelief. I've been preparing a lot of things recently, and it's not very convenient for you to go to work, so I wanted to let you rest for a while. But don't worry, after this critical period you can come back if you want. I was the one who told President Wu. I was presumptuous, so please don't blame Auntie for acting on her own. Lady Su's gentle tone made it impossible for anyone to be angry. Auntie, it's fine, it's fine. What could Huamin say? He had to respect his future mother-in-law's decision. Seeing the conversation between Su Yu's mother and Huamin, everyone was confused. Then hurry up and go through the paperwork. I'll take you somewhere later. Just like that, Huamin went through the paperwork and left Southside in a daze. Then he followed Su Yu's mother to try on the wedding dress, wedding shoes and Chinese wedding gown for the toast. After a day he was so tired that he almost vomited blood. Then after the whole day Huamin was still in a daze and felt like he was in a dream. Was this the story of Cinderella marrying into a rich family? Huamin still felt that everything was too smooth and too simple. He felt like he had missed out on some important information. Zhu Lingling flew back from abroad the day before Huamin's wedding. Originally, she didn't have a vacation, but Huamin said that he was getting married. Zhu Lingling even quarreled with her supervisor to ask for leave before she rushed back. Inside a barbecue restaurant near Huamin's house. Sis, what do you mean? You married yourself off without saying anything? Huamin lowered his head guiltily. Where's your man? Let me see him. Zhu Lingling slammed the table angrily. She really didn't know which bastard could make Huamian was willing to get married in a flash. After the incident with Ning Ziyuan, Zhu Lingling swore that she would find a better man for her sisters. But this girl's actually Hua's get married. Tst. Hans Mian have a date. Zhu Lingling was lecturing Huamian. Hua. As soon as he entered, he saw Huamin sitting in the corner as if he had been bullied. Su Yu walked over and sat beside Huamin. Zhu Lingling was obviously agitated when she saw Su Yu. She had always paid attention to entertainment news, so it was impossible for her not to know Su Yu. However, this was the first time she saw Su Yu in person. Chapter 46-48. 15 minutes later, Huamian gave him a brief account of what had happened. Zhu Lingling was dumbfounded. Fuck. Love at first sight really exists in this world. Lin Fan mumbled to himself. Of course, Su Yu said proudly. I'm so envious of you. My Mion. I wonder when my Mr. Right will appear? Zhu Lingling was genuinely happy for Huamin. She didn't comment on Su Yu's past. She was just proud that the Su family had collectively gone to Huomin's house to propose marriage. Zhu Lingling felt that the Su family would definitely treat Huomin well. Besides, being able to marry someone like Su Yu was already very impressive. What more could she ask for? You might meet your Mr. Right at the wedding tomorrow. Su Yu smiled meaningfully. I hope so. Come, let me wish you two a happy wedding. Zhu Lingling was in a great mood. She raised her glass and offered to drink with Huomin and Su Yu. Huomin snatched her glass away. Don't drink too much. You're the bridesmaid tomorrow. Yes. I'm the bridesmaid tomorrow. I'll dress up beautifully. After all, there will be a lot of rich people at the wedding tomorrow. What if one of them takes a fancy to me? Zhu Lingling was still good at self-deprecating. When Su Yu saw her, he felt touched as if he hadn't felt this way for a long time. There were many details to be done at the wedding, so Su Yu was busy the entire day. After returning home that night, he immediately sent Huomin a WeChat message. Su Yu, honey, are you asleep? Huomin, I'm asleep. Su Yu, how can you talk when you're asleep? Huomin, just treat it as if I'm sleepwalking. Su Yu, stop fooling around. Let's chat for a while. I'm so nervous. Huomin, why are you nervous? Su Yu, I was afraid that you would run away. Huomin, Su Yu, it's true. You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this day. Huomin, don't make it sound like you knew me in your previous life. It hasn't even been 2 months since we met, okay? Su Yu, Mian, I won't let you regret this. Huomin, I know. Su Yu, oh no. I feel like I'm going to lose sleep. I'm so excited. Huomin, look at your useless face. Su Yu, I've always been so useless in front of you. Huomin sent a smiley face. Su Yu, honey, sing me a song to ease my nerves. Huomin, me? Singing? Don't mess around. I'll scare you. Su Yu, it's okay. I'm mentally prepared. Upon hearing Su Yu's words, Huomin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Su Yu, sing me a song called Little Sunday. I like it. Huomin was slightly surprised. Huomin, how did you know that I know how to sing this song? Su Yu, isn't it a children's song that's very popular recently? Any woman can sing it, right? Huomin, no, I'll run away if I sing. Su Yu, I like it too. For some reason, Huomin's heart softened. Unable to resist Su Yu's coaxing, he sang a few lines of Little Sun for Su Yu. Then there was no response from the other end. He must have fallen asleep because he was too tired. Huomin could feel Su Yu's nervousness and excitement. However, to her she was much calmer. Tomorrow was the 8th day of the Chinese New Year. In the blink of an eye, it would be their wedding day. She was also very conflicted. She didn't know if it was right for her to get married so easily. Unknowingly, Huomin only fell asleep at 3 or 4 o'clock. He also couldn't sleep the entire night. That night, Huomin had a dream. She dreamed that she was trapped in a dreamlike place. Then the dream shattered. She watched as Su Yu slowly walked away from her. Then she shouted with all her might, Su Yu, no. Su Yu. Chapter 46-49. Until Huomin stood opposite Su Yu. She was still in a daze and felt like she was dreaming. The wedding was simple and low-key according to her request. However, no matter how simple it was still the Su family's style. Su Yu, the only son of the 5th generation of the Su family, was getting married today. The wedding was held at a private manor owned by the Su family. There were less than 300 guests present, and they had all been carefully selected. It was said that the Su family's wedding invitations were all made of pure 24K gold. It was obvious how much importance they placed on this wedding. Huomin's wedding dress was very simple, but it was precisely because of its simplicity that it gave off the most natural beauty. She didn't know how long this handmade wedding dress had been sewn, or how many pearls and diamonds were embroidered. But now she was in no mood to care about those things, because she didn't know when she was standing opposite Su Yu. On the entire stage, only the lights were on where she and Su Yu were standing. It was dark below. Miss Huomin, do you take Mr. Su Yu as your wife, regardless of poverty, illness, sickness, old age, or death? Will you never leave him? Huomin felt that her voice was so ethereal and empty. Su Yu looked at her nervously as if he was waiting for a death sentence. I do. As soon as Huomin said I do, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Su Yu finally heaved a sigh of relief. Mr. Su Yu, before the MC could finish asking, Su Yu shouted, I'll do it. Off the stage, everyone burst into laughter. How anxious was he? Huamin lowered her head shyly. Then she heard Suyu say word by word, I, Suyu, am willing to take Huamin as my wife, regardless of poverty, illness, old age, or death. I will never leave her. I will only love her in this life and treat her well until death do us part. As the groom, Suyu recited the oath himself. The atmosphere was different. Lady Su could hear the emotion in her son's voice. Old Master Su sat in the main seat and watched as the grandson he had doted on since he was young finally grew up and entered the palace of marriage. His heart was filled with emotions. In the end, a famous pianist played a romantic piano piece on the spot. Suyu lowered his head and gently kissed Huamin. Huamin saw that when Suyu closed her eyes, a tear fell and landed on her face. Mian, thank you for giving me a chance. She heard him whispering in her ear. Later on, Huamin would dream of the wedding for many days. Suyu was the most excited person present. Everyone could see that he was as nervous as a young boy that day. After the wedding, Huamin moved into Suyu's private mansion. However, he returned to work at Southside. This time he was an obstetrician and gynecologist, no longer a nurse. It was not wrong to say that he relied on the Su family's connections, but Huamin did take the exam again and obtained his doctor's certificate. On the morning of the weekend, Huamin woke up from his sleep and saw a cup of hot milk on the bedside table. There was a note on it. Good morning, Mrs. Su. Drink the milk first. Huamin sat up with a smile, picked up the milk and drank it slowly. He could even feel the warmth of the milk seeping into his heart and spleen. When he went downstairs, Suyu had already made breakfast and had just returned from a jog outside. Good morning, madam. And looked up and saw Huamin in his home clothes. Good morning. Huamin smiled. Dr. Hua, come down and eat. Then Suyu smiled and walked to the kitchen to wash his hands. Huamian slowly walked downstairs until she was behind him. Then she hugged him tightly from behind. Suyu, why are you so nice? She said gently. Chapter 4650. That's because I've been outstanding since I was young, he said proudly. Huamin smiled gently behind him. She might not be used to being Suyu's wife yet, but she could feel Suyu's affection for her at all times. After they got married, Suyu would send her to work every day, rain or shine. In the past he would often go on business trips, but now he would send the higher-ups of the company. Suyu had never left home for a night. Boss, lady boss, are you done showing off your love? Can we have breakfast now? Shaoan felt rather helpless. Logically speaking, he should have left after his boss got married so that he wouldn't be a third wheel in this family. Unexpectedly, Suyu still refused to let him leave. He even said that such a big house wasn't enough for him to live in. Therefore, who was single, had to endure the two masters showing off their love every day. Madam, on the other hand, was still fine. She was very restrained and calm. His boss was simply crazy. The legendary wife-doting maniac was probably him. After breakfast, Suyu drove Huamin to work. Actually, Huamin had a driver's license and could drive himself. However, Suyu was worried, so he refused to let Huamin drive alone. You have a morning meeting today, right? Yes. Then you don't have to send me. Go straight to the company. I'll take a taxi to the hospital. It's fine, there's no rush. Unable to dissuade Suyu, she was sent to the entrance of the hospital. Ever since Suyu got married, his Lamborghini had basically retired. He really didn't dare to imagine that the car that he used to love the most was almost not being driven anymore. Sports cars were too eye-catching and disturbing, and they weren't very comfortable to sit in. Therefore, in order to send his wife to work, Suyu only drove a black Audi A8. With Suyu's identity, driving this car couldn't be any more low-key. However, it suited Huamin's taste. Suyu didn't know why, but even in the parallel world, Huamin still loved Audi so much. It was an inexplicable feeling. It was just a simple sentence: as long as his wife was happy. After Huamin became a doctor, his workload obviously increased. Today, he was representing Southside Hospital for a meeting at the first hospital. He took a colleague's car. Huamin didn't expect to meet Ning Ziyuan here. He was still an ophthalmologist, but it was said that he didn't have a good reputation. Very few people had his name, he was just hanging out. She had heard from her colleagues that he man had induced a miscarriage when she was only a few months old and divorced him. They sold the house, they didn't know how they split the money. It was said that Ning Ziyuan was living with a female university student. Huamin didn't want to interfere with his matters. Everyone had to pay the price for their mistakes. Although Huamin didn't like Ning Ziyuan, he had never done anything to let him down. Chapter 46-51. Ning Ziyuan looked very dispirited. His eyes seemed to have a lot to say. I don't think there's any need for us to talk. My dad has liver cancer. Ning Ziyuan's words stunned Huamin slightly. Ning Ziyuan's parents were both farmers in the mountain village. He had met them before. They were honest and kind people. After they separated, the old couple felt sorry for Huamin. They even brought Huamin a lot of specialties from the mountains. She hadn't seen them in a long time. Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, Ning Ziyuan continued, It's true. I'm not lying to you. It was confirmed at our hospital. You can check the information. So, what do you want to say? Huamin glanced at his face coldly. Let's talk somewhere else. Ning Ziyuan's eyes were almost pleading. Huamin thought about his elderly father having cancer. His emotions were very complicated. Inside a cafe near the first hospital, Huamin and Ning Ziyuan sat across from each other. If you have something to say it quickly. I don't have much time. Huamin looked down at his watch. Are you still with Suyu? Ning Ziyuan's expression was very complicated when he asked this question. It was as if he was saying that Huamin had found a rich man, but he was envious, jealous, and looked down on him. Huamin glanced at him and replied coldly, Yes. I hope that Suyu treats you sincerely. You know that playboys like him only like to play with feelings. Don't be too stupid and get too involved. I'm saying this for your own good, Ning Ziyuan said to Huamin shamelessly as a friend. Thank you for your advice, but Suyu and I are already married. Huamin was not someone who liked to show off. Only a few people knew about her marriage with Suyu. The Su family's power directly suppressed all the major media and no one reported it. Only the guests who attended the wedding at that time spread the news that Suyu was already married. However, because it wasn't confirmed, many people didn't know that it was true. What did you say? Ning Ziyuan was dumbfounded. This was the expression that Huamin wanted to see. For a moment she felt the thrill of revenge. After all, dating Suyu, cohabiting with Suyu. None of those words could compare to this sentence. I'm married to Suyu. You and Suyu are married? Yes, we're legally married, Huamin added. Ning Ziyuan's expression couldn't be described as shock. After a long time he finally calmed down and said with a mocking smile, Congratulations, you're finally married into a rich family. So, I'm here today to hear you congratulate me? If you have something to say, you'd better say it quickly. You have 5 minutes. Huamin looked down at her watch again and reminded Huamin, Mian, I want to borrow money. Borrow money? You're asking me? Huamin smiled. Yes, my dad's liver cancer is in the intermediate stage. There's still hope. I want to have surgery, but I don't have that much money. You're a doctor, you know the cost of cancer treatment. It turned out that Ning Ziyuan coaxed Huamin into coming to the cafe just to borrow money. He felt that if Huamin and Suyu were together, they wouldn't lack money. Of course, after hearing that Suyu and Huamin were married, he wanted to borrow money even more. After all, the Su family had endless money. Oh my God, this is crazy. Wasn't President Su going to be angry with his wife? Why would he vent his anger on her? Zhao Qingya didn't understand. She didn't believe that President Su wasn't jealous. She didn't believe that President Su didn't care that his wife met another man. Inside the president's office of Imperial Star, Suyu was indeed jealous. But Suyu's jealousy was different from other men's. Chapter 46-53. After work, Suyu went to pick up Huamin as usual. Huamian was only wearing a light blue dress that reached her knees and she was wearing white shoes. She wasn't used to dressing like a rich madam, so she still dressed like a girl. After getting into the car, she realized that something was wrong with Suyu. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Huamin asked. Honey, my heart doesn't feel well. What's wrong? Did you drink? No, then why would your heart feel unwell? Huamin really believed him. Feel it. My heart rate is different from usual, Suyu said, feeling wronged. Confused, Huamin really reached out to feel it. No, your heart rate is normal, but someone made me feel unwell. Really? Who made our President Su angry? Huamin laughed. It was obvious that Suyu was throwing a tantrum. Honey, I have a friend. He loves his wife very much, but his wife went to see her ex-boyfriend behind his back. Do you think he should punish his wife by kneeling on a washboard or a durian tonight? After Suyu finished speaking, Huamin immediately understood. Then he giggled. You're still laughing? You're such a big shot. Aren't you embarrassed to stalk someone? I'm not stalking her. It's just that Mrs. Su is so famous now that she doesn't even know that someone is secretly taking photos of her. Suyu pouted. I'm not a big star. Why would anyone secretly take photos of me? It's just meeting with Ning Ziyuan today. It's simple. That scumbag wanted to borrow money from me, but I didn't. Borrow money? Why do you need money? His father has cancer, Huamin said. Did you borrow money? Fu asked. No, he borrowed 300,000 yuan all at once. I don't have that much money. Huamin laughed. Mrs. Su, you're pretending to be poor again. Didn't I give you several cards? You can easily swipe more than 300,000 yuan, okay? That's your money, not mine. I'm all yours. Why are you still fussing over whose money it is? You're so boring. Suyu leaned on Huamian's shoulder and whined. Mr. Su, please drive home quickly. I'm starving. I want to eat. Then let's go out to eat. No, let's go home and eat. Okay, what do you want to eat? The soft fried pork tenderloin you made last time was pretty good. Huamin carefully recalled that Suyu's culinary skills seemed to have improved a lot recently. No problem, let's go. When Huamin said that he was hungry, Suyu forgot to denounce him. The two of them didn't mention Ning Ziyuan's request to borrow money again. That night, Huamin saw that his colleagues at the hospital all shared a fundraising post on their WeChat moments. It was from Ning Ziyuan's father. It was a charity fundraiser that he started himself. It seemed that someone as prideful as him had no choice but to raise money from the public. Huamin thought for a moment and anonymously donated 3,000 yuan. It was more or less a token of appreciation. She had already done her best for Ning Ziyuan. That night, Suyu had a video conference with the overseas branch. Suyu spoke in English the entire time. Huamin realized that Suyu's English was an American accent. It was very handsome and smooth. Moreover, during the meeting he really looked like a boss. Huamin made a cup of coffee, walked over and placed it on the table. In order not to disturb Suyu, he wanted to turn around and leave. However, Suyu pulled him hard and he fell into Suyu's arms. Then Huamin was caught off guard and met Suyu's subordinates from the overseas branch. Suyu mischievously said in English, "Let me introduce you. This is my wife, Huamin." Chapter 46-54. Come on, say hello to them. Huamin shyly greeted them in English. Then she quickly got up and ran to the side, to hide from the camera. What are you doing? You scared me to death, Huamin complained in Chinese. Suyu smiled but didn't say anything. You still have the cheek to smile. I'll deal with you later. When Suyu came out of the meeting, Huamin was downstairs watching a TV show. At this time and was hiding in his room playing games and refusing to come out. Suyu went straight to the kitchen, took out some fruits from the fridge, washed them, cut them and brought them up. He placed them in front of Huamin. Mrs. Su, please have some fruit. Thank you, Mr. Su. Suyu sat down next to Huamin and put his arm around her shoulder. He could clearly feel the warmth from her body. Every time this happened he would have a feeling. It was as if there was a voice in his heart that kept saying, "She's mine. She belongs to me and only me." Honey, what TV show are you watching? Ghost blows out the light. Aren't you afraid? So late. Suyu was speechless. I'm not afraid. When I was in medical school I studied corpses with a few classmates at night. Suyu, women in medical school are indeed powerful. Suyu gave her a thumbs up. By the way, honey, I've been planning to use your name to set up a charity foundation to help families in need. That's a good thing. Mr. Su, you're very ambitious. Huamin reached out and patted Suyu's head. I'll get my assistant to follow up on this matter and work with Southside. No problem. Then the first sum of money from the foundation will be used to treat Ning Ziyuan's father, Suyu suddenly said. Huamin paused and looked at him. Why are you looking at me? That scumbag Ning Ziyuan is hateful, but his father didn't do anything wrong. I heard that he used to treat you very well. Since we know each other, we should learn from Lei Feng and do good deeds for him. Plus, the money is from the charity fund, so it's good fortune for us. So you actually wanted to say that 300,000 yuan was not a lot. He could lend it to him or give it to him. After all, that person could not afford it. But later he felt that it was inappropriate, so he thought of the public welfare fund. Huamin was touched after hearing that. Her man was so kind. In terms of human nature, he was so outstanding and outstanding. Who said that children from rich families were cold, heartless and obsessed with money? Suyu wasn't like that. Her Suyu wasn't like that. Huamin turned sideways and wrapped his arms around Suyu's neck. Thank you, Mr. Su. You're really very kind. Then do you think I should change my name and not be called Suyu anymore? Suyu joked. Huamin smiled and took the initiative to kiss Suyu. Fortunately, it didn't come out at this time. Otherwise, he would have been tortured again. Late at night after their lovemaking, Huamian fell asleep from exhaustion. Suyu pulled the blanket up worriedly, afraid that she would catch a cold. Then he stared at her delicate face for a long time. He felt like he was dreaming. Suyu held his phone and posted this on his WeChat moments. He said, "All the surprises and good luck in this world are accumulated by your character and kindness." Suyu felt that after doing so much, in the end he still got to be with Huamin. Chapter 46-55. In the blink of an eye, Suyu and Huamin had already been married for more than half a year. His mother and Jixin had already moved out of the slums. Suyu bought them a villa in a beautiful neighborhood in the suburbs. In order not to worry Huamin, he even equipped them with bodyguards and nannies. He also bought a new car for Jixin. As a Transformers fan, Jixin had always been in love with the Chevrolet Camaro, which was also known as the Bumblebee. Summer turned to winter, and in the blink of an eye, it was November. It began to snow in the north. It was Mr. Su's birthday. Mr. Su rarely had time, so he flew back from Malaysia to spend time with his family. At Mr. Su's invitation, Yang Merong and Jixin also came to the Su family's old mansion. The real two families sat together and ate a home-cooked meal. Huamin personally baked a cake. Although it looked mediocre, it tasted good. "Mion, how's your work recently? Are you tired?" Lady Su felt sorry for her daughter-in-law. "I'm not tired, Mom. I'm good, and so is Southside. Our Dr. Hua is a famous doctor in the hospital. When President Wu retires, our Dr. Hua will be the director." Suyu hugged Huamin's shoulder and blew it out for her. "Don't talk nonsense, I'm not that capable to be the director." Huamin gently pinched Suyu to remind him not to talk nonsense. "It's so much more convenient now that we have a doctor in our family. Mion can solve all the small problems like headaches and fever," Lord Su said with a loving expression. Seeing that the atmosphere was so good, Huamin paused and suddenly said, "Since everyone is here, I have something to tell everyone." Suyu was also slightly surprised. He didn't hear Mion say that she was going to announce anything. Therefore Suyu, who didn't know what was going on, was actually slightly nervous. Hearing Huamin's words, everyone's gazes immediately turned to him. "Grandpa, Dad, Mom, Mr. Su? Mom, little brother. Today I officially announce that our family will have a new member." Huamin looked at everyone's faces and said word by word. When she had just finished speaking, no one had reacted yet. Lady Su, on the other hand, had some clues. After the ecstasy, he asked her excitedly, "Mion, you're pregnant?" "Yes." Huamin nodded shyly. Then the whole family boiled over. Only Suyu was still in a daze. He stood rooted to the ground as if he hadn't reacted yet. Lady Su nudged her son. What are you waiting for? You're going to be a father." "I'm going to be a father?" Suyu repeated in a daze. "And how long has it been?" Yang Merong couldn't help but get excited. "It's very small, only 4 weeks. I wanted to wait for 50 days to do an ultrasound before telling everyone. But everyone is here today and the atmosphere is so good, so I said it in advance." Huamin's period had always been on time, so when her period was delayed for 2 days, she had a premonition. After she married Suyu, they had been very intimate. In fact, Suyu didn't know where he got so much energy from. Basically, other than her period, he would make out with her every day. Sometimes he would even take advantage of her when she woke up in the morning, causing her to almost be late for her morning shift several times. At this moment, Suyu didn't know what to feel. That feeling was that he wanted to cry. He really wanted to cry. He was actually going to be a father. He actually had a child. It was their child, with the woman he loved the most. Chapter 46-56. Look at our Yu, he's silly. Lady Su smiled. This silly boy. He doesn't know how to be happy. Lord Su also looked at his grandson. Mr. Su scolded Suyu. Why aren't you saying something to your wife? Only then did Suyu react. He was so excited that his mind went blank. He sat up with a plop and suddenly picked up Huamin. Then he spun around in the huge living room. That's great, thank you. Su. Thank you, Mion. My head is dizzy. Put me down. Huamin punched Suyu. Styled. Put down your wife. He's pregnant now. Don't scare her. Lady Su was so scared that she quickly stood up and stopped her son, who had lost control. Because Huamin was pregnant, she became the focus of the Su family's protection. From her diet to her clothes, they were very particular. Suyu's private villa originally only had Suyu, Huamin, and a few odd job workers. Now Lady Su suddenly sent a lot of people over. Just taking care of Huamin alone, there were 4 of them. It was simply ridiculous. Some specialized in cooking 3 meals a day, and some specialized in hand-washing Huamin's clothes. Some specialized in cleaning. The entire villa was disinfected and sterilized at all times. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After Huamin got pregnant, Suyu seemed to dislike going to work even more. Unless something major happened at Imperial Star, Suyu was only in charge of commanding over the phone. This president was indeed becoming more and more unprofessional. Then when Huamin was 3 months pregnant, Suyu forbade her from going to work. He applied for a long leave for her. Every day he would talk to her, relax and eat with her. He would go to the garden to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. He would go to the park with good air to take a walk and breathe in the fresh air. On this day, Huamin and Suyu were picking out baby clothes at a maternity store in the city center. Mrs. Su, do you think our baby is a boy or a girl? I don't know. We'll only know the gender after 4 months. Why, do you dislike girls? Huamin asked him deliberately. Nonsense. I like both boys and girls as long as it's our child, Suyu said happily. Suddenly 2 small figures appeared in his mind. He said sadly, Wife, if we have a little princess I'll name her, okay? Sure, why are you so interested? Huamian was puzzled. That's right, I suddenly thought of a very fun name. I think it'll be very cute. What's the name? Huamian looked down at the baby supplies and chatted with Suyu. As it is. Poos? What a weird name. How did you come up with it? Huamin looked at Suyu amused. I think it sounds good. Listen to me, okay? I'll leave the name to you. Suyu acted like a spoiled child to Huamin in the store, no matter how many people there were. Huamin naturally didn't want to embarrass his man, so he nodded. Sure, I'll listen to you. Suyu of course didn't come up with a random name. He just thought of Pudding and Little Bean. Although those 2 children weren't his, he had always treated them like his own. In this world, Suyu still had memories from another world. So he always wanted to leave something behind. Pudding and Little Bean, each had a name. If it was a girl, she would be called Pudding. Mr. Su, if it's a boy, what's his nickname? Huamin asked him. Chapter 46-57. After holding it in for a long time, Suyu asked her guiltily, Honey, what do you think of the name Su Guoguo? Huamin, forget it. Pretend I didn't ask you. Huamin felt that Suyu's brain circuit was really strange. How could he think of such a weird name like Guoguo? At least he hadn't heard of any children named Guoguo. Wasn't it a sign that he wasn't educated enough? As for the boy's name, Suyu really hadn't thought about it. This was because he had never seen Huamin and Qin Chu's second child, Qin Yuyao. He only knew that Pudding and Little Bean always called their unborn brother Qin Guoguo. However, this ugly name was quickly rejected by Huamin. After the 2 of them finished shopping, Huamin was a little tired. The 2 of them found a cafe and sat down. Then they saw someone familiar. To be precise, Suyu saw someone familiar. Lord Su. Shin Mingxi walked over. When did you come back? Yesterday. I heard that you got married. Shin Mingxi asked. My wife, Huamin, Suyu introduced proudly. Shin Mingxi nodded and smiled at Huamin. Huamin also smiled politely. At this moment there was a girl behind Shin Mingxi. Suyu was also causing trouble. Wei Ying. It seemed that the 2 of them were already close. Without Hui Yanyan the mistress, there was no tragedy like Wei Ying and Shin Mingxi in the other world. Big brother Suyu, Wei Ying said with a smile. You're back too. Yeah, we came back together. Are you getting married? Suyu looked at them with a smile. Not yet. We came back this time to get engaged first. We're both studying for our doctorates, so we won't get married so early, Wei Ying said. After exchanging a few pleasantries with his old friend, Suyu returned to his seat. After returning to this world, Suyu really saw too many old friends. Every time he saw someone, his mood would be different. He had to say that life was like a drama. Mr. Su, why are you in a daze? Huamin saw that he was a little absent-minded. It's nothing. I just saw a friend I haven't seen in a long time. I'm a little emotional. Oh right, did your bestie take care of that police officer? Suyu suddenly thought of Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran. At this time, Gao Ran was only the captain of a branch. And Zhu Lingling was a particularly vicious stewardess. The two of them probably don't have a chance. They fight every time they see each other. They're really like enemies. I don't think they'll like each other. I think Lingling should find a warm man who'll be honest and listen to her. Huamin rested his chin on his hands. That's different. Haven't you heard that beating is affection and scolding is love? Maybe they were fated to be together in a previous life. Suyu smiled. Why do you seem to know everything? Don't tell me you transmigrated from some future world. Huamin was just saying it casually. After all, Suyu sometimes spoke and did things mysteriously as if he had seen through everything. What if I say yes? Do you believe me? Suyu asked Huamin seriously. If you really came from the future, then I can only be sure of one thing. Huamin said as he ate dessert. What? You must love me very, very much. Otherwise, you wouldn't have transmigrated back and caught me in a flash marriage. After saying this, Huamin laughed foolishly. He gave himself a thumbs up for his super-rich imagination. However, Suyu didn't laugh. He subconsciously reached out and gently stroked Huamin's face. Mrs. Su, I do love you very much, very much. Su Qianxuan said. Chapter 4658. Huamin never thought that she would get married in a flash at the age of 24. Moreover, it was to the top person in the city. It was one thing for her to get married in a flash, but she didn't expect to hit the jackpot after only half a year of marriage. The arrival of the child caused the entire Su family to celebrate. Huamin also enjoyed the treatment of an empress dowager. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even when she got up in the middle of the night to drink water, Suyu got up nervously. I'm just a pregnant woman, I'm not disabled. Don't be so nervous, Mr. Su. Huamin smiled helplessly. Don't talk nonsense. You're going to have to bear the child for 10 months. It's nothing for me to do this. Suyu got off the ground barefooted. After getting the water, he came back and handed it to Huamin. Try the temperature. If it's cold, I'll add some hot water, he said. Mr. Su, if you continue to take care of me like this, I really won't be able to take care of myself. Will I become a panda? Huamin held the cup and looked at Suyu with a blissful smile. You're the Su family's panda. Then I'll have a few more in the future. That way, I can continue to enjoy the treatment of a panda, Huamin said as she drank the water. No, this one is enough. Don't have so many. Whether it's a boy or a girl, it'll be this one, Suyu insisted. Huamin finished drinking the water and put the cup on the bedside table. She looked at him in surprise. What? Don't all men want their wives to give birth to children for their family? Why do you seem so reluctant when it's your turn? This one is already hard enough. Last night I watched a program on a foreign video website about childbirth. I almost died of shock when I saw the cesarean section. Let's have this one really. I don't want you to suffer any more. One is enough for us. Suyu was serious. After Huamin got pregnant, Huamin ate, drank and slept in peace. Suyu almost got prenatal depression. He had been reading all kinds of related books nervously and strictly checking what pregnant women could eat and what they couldn't. For example, she was determined not to let Huamin eat seafood, not even a crab leg. Therefore, Suyu as a man did all this homework for his pregnant wife. He even watched videos of cesarean sections overseas, which showed how much he loved his wife. Of course, men would never be able to understand the pain of a woman's pregnancy and childbirth. However, a man who loved his wife would never treat her as a childbearing machine. Although the Su family only had a single heir for 5 generations, however, when it came to Suyu had made up his mind. Regardless of whether it was a boy or a girl, they only wanted one child in Huamin's womb. He didn't want her to take any risks for him. He didn't want her to suffer any pain. Seeing how nervous Suyu was, Huamin wanted to laugh. but she was also very touched. "You're a man, why are you looking at those things?" "As an obstetrician and gynecologist, I don't know anything. Actually, giving birth isn't that scary. It's a woman's right given by nature." Compared to Suyu's nervousness, Hwamin was very calm. "That won't do. Listen to me. This matter is non-negotiable." Suyu insisted on only having one child. Then he forcefully suppressed Hwamin, who was unwilling to accept it. Suyu hugged her tightly from behind. She remembered how nervous Suyu was when they first got married. So much so that on their wedding night, they almost didn't complete the bridal chamber mission. Perhaps it was because he was too nervous, or perhaps it was because he had waited for this moment for too long. Therefore, when his hand touched Hwamin's skin, his fingertips would tremble slightly. Chapter 46-59. From summer to autumn and now to winter. He had just gotten used to this rhythm and thought that he could enjoy the two of them. He didn't expect the little one to arrive so quickly and completely disrupted their plans. Mion, compared to calling her honey Mrs. Su wife. Mion. Suyu preferred to call her Mion for some reason. Every time he called her Mion he would feel happy. However, he could only call her that at night after they went to bed. Otherwise he would definitely be scolded in front of Tang Chuan and Wei Liao. Especially Tang Chuan, he might vomit if he heard it. After all, who would have thought that the once hot-tempered young master would one day become as clingy as a teddy bear? Not only was he clingy to his wife, but he also chased after her and called her Mion. Just thinking about that scene was enough to make one laugh for 500 days. Mion, yeah? Hwamin smiled sweetly. "I'm sorry, the child's arrival disrupted my plans to take you on a honeymoon. Otherwise, I would have taken you to Fiji after the anniversary celebration this month." Suyu hugged Hwamin tightly from behind and apologized gently. "It's okay, we'll go after the baby is born. Anyway, I gave birth naturally. I won't rest for long. But I heard that natural childbirth is very painful." Suyu's heart ached. "A C-section is even more painful." Hwamin was actually just joking, but Suyu remained silent. "Hey, what's wrong?" Hwamin suddenly turned over and saw Suyu's melancholic eyes. When Suyu was in another parallel world, he had accompanied Hwamin to give birth. It was when they had twins, Pudding and Little Bean. At that time, Chin Chu was still in the United States, and Suyu was so nervous that he didn't know what to do. Hwamin's labor hadn't gone very smoothly. The hardships she had suffered in the process couldn't be explained in just a few sentences. Ever since then, the experience of having a child had left a shadow in his heart. Although he wasn't the one to give birth to the child, it was still more painful than giving birth to the child himself. After all, he loved his woman dearly. "Mr. Su, don't tell me you have prenatal depression?" Hwamin teased him on purpose. She deliberately placed her finger at the corner of his mouth. She could even vaguely feel some stubble on his beard. Mion, thank you for giving birth to the baby for me." "Thank you." Suyu kissed Hwamin's forehead lovingly. "Mr. Su, don't you think it's mushy that you have to confess to her every day?" "No, I just hate that my life is too short. Otherwise, I could confess for tens of thousands of years. Do you believe me?" Every day before going to bed, the young couple would talk about all sorts of things, gossip and interesting things. In short, Suyu's empty private villa. Ever since Hwamin moved in, it had become much livelier. Perhaps it was because it smelled like home, at a weekend gathering with friends. Suyu brought Hwamin to the top floor of the Wei family's revolving restaurant. It was said that one could overlook the night view of the entire city. In recent years, the Wei family had been doing well in chain restaurants and hotels. There was only one reason why Wei Liao took the initiative to treat them. He was in love. Wei Liao didn't believe in fate in the past, so when Suyu kept talking about Dr. Jiang, he was indifferent. Later, he couldn't help but be curious and went to the Municipal Public Security Bureau to look for her. He even deliberately called Jiang Xiaowei's number. Only then did he realize that this woman was too interesting. He was his type. When Hwamin was 4 months pregnant, Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei officially confirmed their relationship. That day on the top floor of the revolving restaurant, the 5 of them were seated in a very strange manner. Chapter 46-60. Suyu and Hwamin sat on one side, while Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei sat on the other side. Tang Chuan was alone, so he was arranged to sit in the corner. In the past he always mocked Suyu for being a forever single dog. Now the tables had turned. "Young Master Tang, you must be lonely tonight." Suyu looked at him and smiled. Wei Liao didn't forget to add, "Young Master Tang, where's your Mina, Lucy, Lily, and Catherine? Those women aren't worthy of my attention. They're just bedmates to satisfy my biological needs. Do they deserve to be on such a big occasion?" Tang Chuan wasn't convinced. "So, our love saint young Master Tang can actually become a single dog one day. Ah, the tables have turned." Suyu laughed proudly. Tang Chuan couldn't take it anymore. "Lord Su, don't be so sarcastic. When your son is born, I'll teach him how to pick up girls when he's 5 years old. Do you believe me?" "In your dreams. Don't even think about seeing my son 15 years ago. I'll hide him." Suyu was also going against him. Suyu hadn't attended a gathering of 5 people in a long time. Especially when he was attending as a married and father-to-be. In Wei Liao's words, Suyu was so proud that his tail was about to reach the sky. "Suyu, look at how smug you are. Is your child going to be named Su Shi?" Tang Chuan teased him. Before Suyu could say anything, Wei Liao added, "Why don't we call him Scottish braised noodles?" His words caused everyone to burst into laughter. None of these people looked like super rich people. They were all a bunch of losers who spoke in a local dialect. Jiang Xiaowei and Humin got along very well. The two of them talked a lot about prenatal education. When Humin returned, he dragged Suyu to the living room to play the piano. Humin had never learned music and his singing was average. However, Suyu was different. The Su family focused on diversity. Although Suyu wasn't interested in these things, he did know how to play the piano when he was 5 or 6 years old. Therefore, after Humin turned on his piano that was almost covered in dust, he gave Suyu an order. "Mr. Su, Dr. Jiang said that prenatal music education is especially important for children. So I plan for you to play the piano for our baby every night before bed." "No problem, Mrs. Su. How about to Alice first?" Suyu stretched his back. He hadn't played the piano for a long time and was a bit rusty. He had to find the score on his tablet. Unexpectedly, Humin shook his head. "Our baby won't be able to understand those profound words. Why don't you start with a song? Counting ducks." "What?" Suyu thought he had heard wrongly. "Little Star, Counting Ducks and 2 Tigers, which one do you think you can play?" Humin smiled. Suyu was speechless. 15 minutes later, under Humin's coercion, Suyu braced himself and sat in front of the piano, playing Counting Ducks with a serious expression. And secretly recorded this scene and posted it on his WeChat Moments. "Boss's Nanny Dad Training Diary Entry 1. Counting Ducks," and added. When Tang Chuan saw it, he almost laughed out loud. Because of this, he used this matter to tease Suyu for more than half a month. However, Suyu insisted on playing 1 song a day and he changed to a new song every day. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. Humin's due date was August of the next year. Although they knew that the baby was a Leo and was more domineering, they couldn't do anything about it. That day, as usual, Humin washed his face and was about to go to bed when he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He lowered his head and saw a patch of red. "Suyu." Humin was so scared that he didn't dare to move. He shouted for Suyu with all his might. Chapter 4661. Suyu was on the phone in the study. He was talking to a producer about a variety show produced by Imperial Star. Just as he was at the critical moment, he heard Humin calling out to him. His wife's call was the most important thing to him. "Sorry to interrupt. I'll call you back later." Suyu hung up the phone without waiting for the other party to speak. Then he rushed to the master bedroom. Then he saw Humin holding onto the door frame. At the bathroom door there was red blood on the floor. Suyu was so scared that he almost fainted. Fortunately, Humin was experienced. "Don't be afraid. It's just blood. Maybe the baby is about to move. Hurry up and send me to the hospital." Suyu had forgotten how he carried Humin all the way downstairs, and immediately brought out the most comfortable RV from the garage. To be able to let Humin lie flat in the car, it actually took more than 40 minutes to travel from Suyu's private villa to Southside. But that day it only took 20 minutes. When they arrived at Southside, it was 10:20 p.m. At that time, the main directors of the obstetrics and gynecology department weren't there. Yu called President Wu and roared over the phone. Therefore, that night, a total of 4 directors of the obstetrics and gynecology department came from the first hospital and South Side. Just the midwives alone were there. It could be said to be the largest childbirth in history. Those who knew that Mrs. Su was giving birth inside, but those who didn't would think that she was a member of the British royal family. This was simply too grand. Huamin was a strong person. When she decided to give birth naturally, she knew what kind of pain she had to endure. Therefore, while she was waiting for the cervix to open, she didn't make a sound even though she was in pain. However, just from the sweat on her forehead, one could tell how tragic it was. Dr. Hua, if you're in a lot of pain you can shout a few times. No one will laugh at you. That's how everyone goes through it. The gentle chief physician comforted Huamin. He shook her head. Then she reluctantly replied, "My husband is just outside the door. If he hears this he will definitely be worried. Hey guys, don't tell him." At this moment Yu was indeed as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Lady Su and Yang Myung were also there. The whole family was waiting outside the door. It lasted until 1:30 in the morning. Yu felt that his spirit was about to collapse. Then he saw the door of the obstetrics department open. "Dr. Hua's husband, please come in." After Yu changed into the sterilized clothes, he followed the nurse in with a blank mind. There he saw a pale and sweaty Huamin. At that moment, tears fell from his eyes. Huamin was probably in too much pain so he wasn't fully conscious anymore. "Mion." He rushed over and gently stroked her head. Before he could say anything to her, the baby's cries resounded throughout the delivery room. "President Su, congratulations. It's a rich girl." After the chief doctor delivered the baby, she held the newborn with a smile on her face. At that moment Yu really didn't know how to react. She's so beautiful. Her eyes are so big, 6 pounds and 8 ounces. The little guy really isn't thin. It's really difficult for our Dr. Hua. These words echoed in Yu's ears. He didn't even know how to react. After all, this was the first time in his life that he was a father. It wasn't until the baby was placed in Yu's arms that he saw the child's appearance. She was clearly wrinkled and ugly, but Yu felt that she was the most beautiful woman in the world other than Huamin. "Hi. Yu, welcome to this world. I'm your father, Yu." After speaking, Yu lowered his head and kissed the little guy's forehead. This was his daughter, his and Huamin's daughter. Other than Huamin, Yu's favorite little lover. Epilogue. All the surprises and good luck in this world are accumulated from your character and kindness. Yu's side story. Huamin took off his school uniform and put on a cartoon t-shirt with Mickey's face on it. "Hello, I'm Huamin." Such a simple sentence, but it was as if a bomb had exploded in the classroom. Huamin. Fuck. The legendary godlike figure, a genius. The top scholar in the middle school exams. She had been on TV, had her school fees waived for 3 years, and had even received an additional scholarship of more than 100,000 yuan. Everyone's reactions were chaotic. However, the person involved was still very calm. Hansu was also taken aback, but the class leader was quick to adapt. "So you're Huamin. Hello, welcome to class 1. Hansu smiled. "Sorry, I'm a little sleepy. I'll talk to you later." Huamin was a little dizzy. He ignored everyone in the class and then fell asleep. When Zhu Lingling turned around and saw Huamin, she liked him very much. "I like this damn girl's personality. She's so arrogant." Zhu Lingling almost ran up to her and gave her a thumbs up. Chapter 46-63. When Huamin entered the class, Qin Chu wasn't there. He liked to play basketball. Yi Gao ran and a few other seniors from the basketball team often played in the basketball stadium. That day when Qin Chu came back, he saw that there was an additional person in the class. Sitting in the last row there was a little girl sleeping like a snail. Her entire face was nestled under the blue and white striped school uniform. However, the fatty sitting next to Qin Chu gossiped and reminded him, "School hunk Qin, look, the straight student is here." Qin Chu glanced at Huamin. He still didn't see her face, but he wasn't interested. The first period in the afternoon was Teacher Yao's class. Teacher Yao was the homeroom teacher and also taught Chinese. She had the best reputation in the entire second high school and was also the strictest teacher. At that time, Teacher Yao wasn't old yet. She wore black-rimmed glasses and looked around the class. Even the few troublemakers who usually didn't listen to the class would tremble. In the end, Teacher Yao's gaze landed on the girl in the last row. Huamin seemed to be still asleep and didn't hear her. At this moment, someone beside her reminded her, "The teacher is calling you." Only then did Huamin get up in a daze. "Introduce yourself." Teacher Yao liked this straight A student very much. It was said that she was a legendary straight A student in junior high. "My name is Huamin." "Thank you everyone." These 8 words were so short. There was no long speech or showing off her literary talent. As expected, she was simple and low-key. Teacher Yao smiled. "You won't be able to see the blackboard clearly if you sit in the back. Let me change your seat for you." At this moment, everyone turned to look at Huamin for her reaction. "Teacher, I'm fine here." So, without giving the teacher a chance to change her seat, Huamin sat in the last row. Why? Because it was convenient to sleep. Teacher Yao's class was very long. She was talking about classical Chinese. Huamin only listened for 10 minutes before she felt sleepy again. Then he fell asleep once again. "Teacher, Huamin is sleeping in class." There was a girl with a big mouth called Jing Xiujuan. Her role in the class had always been that of a tattletale. Her studies were average, but her ability to please the teachers was annoying. With her report, everyone immediately waited for a good show. After all, no one dared to be so impudent in their form teacher's class. Unexpectedly, Teacher Yao only glanced at Huamin. Then he smiled and said, "Let her be." "Yes, you didn't hear wrongly. Teacher Yao is right. Let her be." This was the privilege of being a top student. Of course, there were also people who were unconvinced. Someone among the students shouted, "Teacher, why can she sleep? Does a straight A student have special privileges?" It was obvious that they were targeting Huamin. Teacher Yao adjusted her spectacles and scanned the class. She said word by word, "If you can get first place in your year every time, you can also sleep as you wish." Suddenly, the entire class fell silent. The teacher was right. If all the students were as talented as Huamin, they wouldn't need to worry about it. Basically, he didn't need to be taught much and he would be able to learn it himself. Then the teacher could coax them to sleep every day. Qin Chu lowered his head and flipped through the language textbook. The corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. He turned his head and looked at the girl again. She was already sleeping soundly. It was as if the battle just now had nothing to do with her. Huamin. Interesting. This name is interesting. This person is also interesting. Then won't you be number 2 forever? Huh? Gao Ran gloated. Qin Chu glared at him and he immediately shut up. "I think there's a way to deal with her," Gao Ran said. Qin Chu still didn't say anything. "You can chase after her and use a gentle trap to influence her. While she's not paying attention, you can be number 1 in the grade." "Ah, isn't that despicable?" Gao Ran fantasized. "Go ahead." After Qin Chu said this, he stood up and walked to the court handsomely. At that time, Gao Ran and Qin Chu didn't know what kind of important role Huamin would play in their lives. Chapter 4665. Qin Chu and Huamin met for the first time half a month later. One afternoon, Qin Chu came back late from playing basketball. There were only a few people left in the cafeteria. Huamin, on the other hand, overslept, and it was already very late when she got there. The cafeteria was about to clear the tables and go to bed. The two of them walked in one after another. "Is there any food left?" They actually asked the same question in unison. Qin Chu and Huamin looked at each other. "There's only one set left. Why don't you two share it?" The auntie in the cafeteria scooped out the leftover rice and dishes and placed them on a plate. Qin Chu frowned slightly. He didn't have the habit of eating with others. He wanted to go out for a bite, but he looked at his watch. There were less than 25 minutes until the afternoon class. He wouldn't be able to make it in time. Huamin also slept the whole afternoon. He was a little hungry. He didn't want to eat, right? He would definitely feel uncomfortable. If he ate, he would have to share it with others. The two of them were in a stalemate. In the end, Qin Chu took the plate. He slowly walked to the empty seat. He didn't invite her because he wasn't the kind of person who took the initiative to talk to girls. Huamin licked his lips and took out 2 pairs of disposable chopsticks. Then he walked over generously and handed one to Qin Chu. He kept the other for himself. Then the two of them calmly shared a plate of lunch. The most amazing thing was that they didn't say a single word. That was also amazing. The two of them were indeed very good at holding back. When they returned to class together, the bell had just rung. When the other students saw them walking back together, they felt a little strange. During the break between classes, Lu Xing, who had always had a crush on Qin Chu, never held back or avoided anything. This was because she and Qin Chu went to the same school since junior high. With her grades, she was able to enter second high in class 1. Like Wei Dong, she relied on money to get in. She bought bread and energy drinks from the supermarket in school. You seem to be very tired from playing basketball recently. More. Just like that, Lu Xing generously delivered food to Qin Chu. Bread and water were placed directly on his table. This attracted the envious gazes of the other students. In fact, Lu Xing was quite pretty. Her hair was longer than Huamin's and her voice was gentle and soft. Of course, her gentleness was only for Qin Chu. Qin Chu glanced at it coldly. I don't like bread. Lu Xing felt awkward for a moment, then smiled. Then drink some water first. Qin Chu glanced at the functional drink without giving him any face. You'll get fat if you drink this. Why don't you keep it? This sentence made Lu Xing's face turn ugly, but she seemed to be used to Qin Chu's attitude. Lu Xing silently took back the bread and water. Chapter 46-66. Huamin licked his dry lips and glanced at Wei Dong indifferently. With your aptitude, I can't teach you no matter how much money you give me, Wei Dong. It wasn't that Huamin didn't give him face, but Wei Dong's aptitude was indeed too poor. He was probably the student who had received the most money in the history of second high. Others only received a few 100,000 yuan, but Wei Dong's family received almost 1,000,000 yuan in funding. It was said that the principal wasn't very willing to accept him, and in the end, Wei Dong's father had to pull some strings to settle it. He didn't know why some parents were so persistent. Their child was already in high school, how could they not know if his grades were good or not? He clearly didn't have the talent for learning, yet he still forced his child to attend a key high school. This mentality was a typical Chinese education. Wei Dong was the last student in class 1. His grades were very stable because there was no room for him to fall. In every exam he had to rely on his stupidity for the multiple-choice questions, which meant that he had to rely on luck. As for the other questions, they were all left blank. Some subjects were even given blank papers. It directly lowered the average level of class 1. It was said that teacher Yao had repeatedly complained to the principal about this. She wanted Wei Dong to transfer classes, but in the end she didn't succeed. However, this guy never felt guilty about his poor grades. Instead, he was still in the mood to flirt. Moreover, the famous bad student in school was flirting with the famous top student in school. This combination was really out of place. Huamin's voice was neither loud nor soft, but the surrounding students heard it clearly. Someone echoed, Wei Dong, stop pestering him. He already said it clearly. With your aptitude, no matter how much money you give him, he won't be able to teach you. Wei Dong giggled and didn't feel embarrassed. He continued to stare at Huamin and said, it's fine if you don't want to tutor me. I just want to ask you out, to be friends. I think we hit it off quite well. Wei Dong was thick-skinned. Even after Huamin refused to tutor him, he still didn't give up. He even said that he wanted to be friends with Huamin. The classmate next to Qin Chu laughed out loud. This guy is really out of his league. He's actually trying to flirt with the top student. Qin Chu ignored her and continued to read his English book, as if everything that was happening around him had nothing to do with him. Huamin sighed slightly when he saw that Wei Dong was unwilling to give up. Then she lowered her head and did not look at him. I don't like to be friends with bad students. Why don't you try to raise your ranking? Huamin's words made Wei Dong not know whether to laugh or cry. There were 42 students in the class, and Wei Dong was ranked 42. Although he was only one place away from the 41st place. But the difference in scores was like heaven and earth. Even Zhu Lingling, who was recruited as a special student, had a total score of more than 500 in her mock exams. Zhu Lingling hovered around 38, 39. There were also a few specially recruited sports and art students sandwiched between Wei Dong and Zhu Lingling. However, they all scored more than 500 points. Wei Dong's total score had never exceeded 240 points. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was harder than ascending to the heavens for him to raise his ranking. Wei Dong sighed slightly when he saw that Huamin had tactfully rejected him. Okay, if you're not willing now, I'll ask again later. Wei Dong turned around and left dejectedly. The bell rang and Huamin continued to feel drowsy. Gradually, a rumor spread around the school. It was said that the new top student came to second high not to study, but to sleep. Huamin's name resounded throughout the school like thunder in less than a month after she entered the school. Chapter 46-67. The principal liked her, the homeroom teacher liked her, and all the teachers who taught her had never said anything bad about Huamin. She was talented and she respected her teachers. Although her relationship with her classmates wasn't that good, they weren't incompatible. In short, Huamin's personality was very mild. It was as if a pot of soup had only a little MSG added. She couldn't taste the saltiness, but she could feel that this pot of soup had become more delicious. In English class, the foreign teacher was a very cheerful Australian friend. He was tall and thin and he wore glasses. After he finished the lesson he started to play an interactive game. Huamin, the teacher called out. Huamin was reading a history lesson. Actually, it wasn't really history. At most, it was an unofficial history. This girl had been very interested in the Three Kingdoms recently. For the past few days she had been studying the emotional entanglements between Cao Pai, Zhenmi and Cao Ji. Here, Huamin heard the teacher call out her name and immediately stood up. Read the following paragraph. Try to pronounce it as accurately as possible so that everyone can learn. Huamin looked at the densely packed English characters in the foreign language book and read it fluently. The surrounding students all looked at Huamin with admiration, watching the brilliant performance of the top student. After reading a paragraph, Huamin was just about to sit down. Qin Chu, you and Huamin will perform the following dialogue, the teacher said. Qin Chu stood up reluctantly and didn't look at Huamin. So the two of them performed a rather difficult English dialogue. Qin Chu's voice was very pleasant. It was the kind that came naturally. At that time, many girls who had a crush on him thought that if Qin Chu could sing a song at the school's New Year's Eve party, that would make many girls drunk, right? In reality, Qin Chu not only didn't sing for others, but he also barely spoke. Other than Gao Ran from class 8 who he was very close to, only a few boys on the school's basketball team could be friends with him. After the English class the teacher praised them. Before class she didn't forget to ask the two straight-A students. Your English level is very good. Actually, you can consider going abroad after graduating from high school. With your grades, you can get into a very good university and continue to study. Huamin didn't expect the teacher to talk so far. They were only in their first year of high school and she was already thinking about 3 years. So Huamin didn't say anything. Qin Chu, on the other hand, replied indifferently, I haven't decided yet. Most of Qin Chu's classmates knew about his family background. GK Corporation was a well-known listed company in the country. He's had a good reputation. Qin did? He was the kind of person who had the aura of a king since kindergarten. Huamin, what about you? Do you want to consider going abroad? The English teacher asked her seriously. Teacher, I really haven't thought about what will happen in 3 years. Huamin answered truthfully. The teacher smiled. Then you can think about it now. People have to think about their own future. I'll think about it. Thank you, teacher. The teacher smiled and nodded. Then class ended. As soon as the bell rang, Zhu Lingling rushed over. Girl bathroom, do you want to go? Okay. Huamin didn't want to go most of the time, but seeing how enthusiastic Zhu Lingling was, she couldn't bear to refuse, so she just accompanied her. Class 1 was in the innermost area. If she went to the bathroom she would pass by class 2, 3, 4 and 5. Every time Huamin passed by the other classes, there would always be a group of people surrounding the door. Look, that's class 1's. Chapter 46-68. Every time this happened, Huamin would lower her head and cover her face with her school uniform. Zhu Lingling was by her side and was very protective of her. Who would have thought that something like this would happen on the way back? There was a famous hunk in class 5. Yes, he was a very gentle and handsome boy. He blocked Huamin and Zhu Lingling's path. Huamin, please wait a moment. Huamin and Zhu Lingling were slightly startled and looked at the boy. The entrance of class 5 was instantly surrounded by more than 10 people. They seemed to be watching the show. Or rather, they all knew what was going to happen. Hello, I'm Chi Hong. The boy's voice was very gentle and he was wearing the same blue and white school uniform. He walked up to Huamin and introduced himself in a gentle and elegant manner. Zhu Lingling was the first to break down. She secretly tugged at Huamin's hand. Hey, he's Chi Hong, the president of the school's literature club, a very talented boy. He also looks like Panan, but you have to calm down. Huamin was speechless. Big sister, I can calm down. You're the one who's too excited. Zhu Lingling was indeed easily flustered. After all, this was the first time she was stopped by the famous person in class 5. Huamin, come to our literature club. I heard that you scored full marks on the essay in the middle school entrance exam. We really admire you. As soon as the sentence came out, the surrounding people seemed to be disappointed and sighed. They originally thought that this guy was here to confess. Huamin and Zhu Lingling were both very famous people in class 1. Huamin was known by the entire school as the top student. Zhu Lingling's beauty could be ranked in the top 10 of the year. Tall, thin, fair, long legs, long hair. She was the type of goddess that many high school boys liked. Chi Hong blocked the two girls from class 1 with such fanfare. Who would have thought that it was just to invite Huamin to join the literature club? It was quite disappointing. Thank you, President. I'll think about it. Huamin calmly glanced at Chi Hong and then continued to walk forward. It was as if everything that just happened had nothing to do with him. Looking at Huamin's back, the boy was still standing there as if he was still thinking about what she just said. Class 5 was also in an uproar. Wow, that's a top student, so cool. Yeah, she looks like a delicate little girl, but her aura is so strong. I heard that she doesn't talk much every day. Her classmates don't have much chance to talk to her. She didn't even look at our class hunk just now. She's so cool. That girl is so unique, I like her, ha. Behind him, the boys from class 5 were still jeering, but Huamin calmly returned to class. Hey Mian, why didn't you just say yes? I heard that there are a lot of handsome guys in the literature club. What do handsome guys have to do with me? Huamin didn't understand. You can make the first move. Pick one for yourself. Don't you think that your boring high school life would be a waste if you don't have a passionate relationship? Zhu Lingling rested her chin on her hands, looking like a love-struck fool. You read too many Qiangyao novels. Huamian smiled. To be honest, don't you want to find a guy you like to spend the next 3 boring years with? Zhu Lingling still didn't give up. The idea of puppy love was deeply ingrained in her, and then she tried to persuade Huamin. Huamin opened the unofficial history book and continued to study the 3 kingdoms. Then he coolly said to Zhu Lingling, to be honest, I came to Second High to study, not to find a partner. Chapter 4669. Huamin's words almost made Zhu Lingling laugh to death. Huamin wasn't a humorous person, so everything that came out of her mouth was extremely serious. She looked as if she was facing death with equanimity. After she said this, Zhu Lingling laughed until she fell to the ground. Ha, Mian, you're so damn cute. I love you. Get back to your seat, Sister Zhu. You're blocking my son. In the entire class, the person who was the closest to Huamin was Zhu Lingling. Therefore, if some students from the same class or other classes wanted to write a love letter to Huamin, it would definitely go through Zhu Lingling's hands. On the contrary, if someone wanted to pursue Zhu Lingling, they would also directly write her a love letter. They wouldn't ask Huamin for help. After all, Huamin's cold aura was too scary. It scared everyone away. After school, because they were all-day students in the city, they didn't have to go to evening self-study. On the other hand, students from other places who lived in the school had to go to evening self-study from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. After school, Zhu Lingling pulled Huamin. Let's go eat spicy hot pot, okay? That's too oily. Huamin didn't like eating these snacks. He always felt that the oil wasn't very clean. It wasn't as tasty as his mother's cooking, but Zhu Lingling liked it. Come with me. I beg you. Zhu Lingling began to act coquettishly. She had always been very open-minded and straightforward, like a little pepper. Therefore, Huamin really liked this friend because she wasn't very scheming. She wouldn't make you guard against her because she wouldn't scheme against you. Although he was unwilling, he couldn't resist Zhu Lingling's coquettishness. In the end, the two of them went to the snack street near the school. It was a very famous spicy hot pot restaurant. The reason why it was called a celestial being was because it was extremely delicious. At noon it was usually packed with people. The malatang here was very cheap, only 5 yuan for a big bowl. Sometimes they would even give away a bottle of local soda during events. It's very suitable for these students. It's very economical. When Huamin and Zhu Lingling came in, they didn't expect it to be full. Just as she was about to leave, Zhu Lingling's sharp eyes discovered that Qin Chu was actually sitting in a corner, opposite a boy. Their table was for 4 people, so there were 2 empty seats. Without waiting for Huamin to speak, Zhu Lingling pulled her over. Qin Chu, can we share a table with you? In fact, Zhu Lingling and Qin Chu did not talk much, but they were in the same class and school had started almost a month ago. Why does he look so familiar? Qin Chu raised her head and glanced at them. Take a seat. She actually didn't reject him. Gao Ran, who was sitting opposite him, was extremely surprised. Zhu Lingling probably felt that she wasn't familiar with Qin Chu, so it wasn't appropriate for her to sit with him. She ran over to Gao Ran and sat down beside him. Huamin had no choice but to sit beside Qin Chu. The malatang shop wasn't big, so the tables and chairs were a little crowded. As soon as they sat down, Huamin could even smell the sweat on Qin Chu's body that had yet to dissipate from playing basketball. Mian, I'll get some food. What do you want to eat? Anything is fine with me. Huamin was probably a Buddhist girl back then. Zhu Lingling stood up to get some food. Qin Chu lowered his head and ate the malatang without saying a word. Gao Ran, on the other hand, asked Huamin nosily, Genius, hello, I've heard a lot about you. Oh. Huamin nodded politely. I'm Qin Chu's best friend. I'm from class 8, Gao Ran. Huamin didn't say anything. I heard from Chu that your grades are extremely good, and you're also very strong. You pretend to be dead and sleep in class and jump around after class, and you're so good in exams. Huamin, did you tell him that about me? Huamin asked Qin Chu with a dark expression. Chapter 46-70. What Qin Chu didn't expect was that the blame would fall from the sky like this. Gao Ran was lying with his eyes closed. From his tone, it was obvious that it wasn't Qin Chu who said it. Was he such a lowly person who gossiped? Qin Chu didn't answer Huamin. Instead he glared at Gao Ran coldly. Gao Ran coughed violently. Ahem. I remember that Chu didn't tell me that. I think I heard it from someone in your class, someone from your family, someone from your class. Gao Ran hurriedly explained, but he didn't know what to say. Fortunately, Huamin didn't take it too seriously and didn't ask who said it. By the time Zhu Lingling finished ordering the spicy hot pot, Qin Chu and Gao Ran had already finished eating. Hey, where are they? Zhu Lingling was puzzled. They left. Damn, so fast. Why did they leave when there's a beauty sitting with them? Are they men? Zhu Lingling felt wronged. Hurry up and eat, sis. Don't be a love-struck fool. Huamin smiled helplessly. Gao Ran and Qin Chu left, but they didn't leave the school. They went back to the basketball court to play another game. Huamin and Zhu Lingling finished their spicy hot pot and were about to go home. However, Zhu Lingling insisted on going to see the captain of the basketball team. The captain of the basketball team, Xing Yan, was a senior in the 3rd year of high school. Although he was tanned, he was handsome. Even if he was tan, he was still very popular. He was basically the favorite of many girls in school. Of course, this was before Qin Chu came to second high. After Qin Chu came, this captain's fans basically ran away. Xing Yan was very tall. He was 185 meters tall in the 3rd year of high school. His body was very proportionate. Zhu Lingling actually didn't like her, but he liked to look at her figure. So Huamin was dragged to watch a game. Huamin did not expect to see Qin Chu here. He was actually very lazy when it came to playing basketball. Everyone else was trying their best to be in the limelight. His shots, dunks, and even three-pointers were so cool. Qin Chu was basically a point guard, passing, receiving, and serving. After watching for a while, Huamin felt a little bored, so he stood up to leave. However, he did not expect that someone would place a bet at the entrance of the basketball court. If I'm not mistaken, she should be a cheerleading girl. They were all in their 3rd year of high school. Each of them had a hot figure, long hair and ponytails. They were also wearing short skirts that revealed their waists. At first, Huamin didn't know that she was being called, so she continued to walk forward. Zhu Lingling lowered her head and played with her phone. She didn't care. The two of you in front, stop. Behind him, a girl shouted loudly. Only then did Huamin and Zhu Lingling turn around. You two are in your first year of high school, right? The girl in the lead walked over and asked bluntly. Ah yes, what's wrong? Zhu Lingling was very angry when she saw that the other party's tone was not very friendly. Who told you to come to the basketball court? The girl held her head high. Huamin was a little confused and didn't know what was going on. Zhu Lingling started to argue. What, did your family contract the basketball court? Don't play dumb with me. This is the territory of the basketball team and our cheerleading team. You can't come in if there's no game. Also, Xing Yan has a girlfriend. She's the captain of our cheerleading team, our sister-in-law, so you two ugly people should stop trying to flirt. Captain Xing won't like country bumpkins like you. Which eye of yours saw that we like Captain Xing? Are you blind? Zhu Lingling was also very rude and started to fight without saying anything. Chapter 46-71. Huamin analyzed the girl's words and looked at the girls behind her. One of them looked more outstanding, but she looked at them with a gloomy expression. This cheerleader must have something going on with the basketball captain. When they went in just now, Zhu Lingling was staring at the captain's golden figure and drooling. She was afraid that someone misunderstood. Actually, Zhu Lingling might be a chatterbox, but she wasn't the kind of person who would easily fall in love with others. Since school started, she had received at least 80 love letters, if not 100. However, she didn't agree to any of them. Therefore, Huamin felt a little helpless about the group of people's inexplicable hostility. Indeed, the third-year girls had been in school for a long time, so it wasn't strange for them to bully the newcomers just because they were older. Who are you talking about? Do you have a death wish? The girl wasn't polite at all. She went up and grabbed Zhu Lingling's hair. Zhu Lingling was also very fierce. She reached out and tore off the girl's shirt. Seeing the two of them fighting, Huamin couldn't just sit back and watch. She wanted to pull the two of them apart. However, the 4 or 5 girls behind her suddenly ran up and started fighting with the two of them. Huamin saw this and felt that this wouldn't do. She immediately joined the fight with Zhu Lingling. Huamin didn't learn taekwondo, nor did she know any martial arts. However, she was agile and had fast reactions, so she was very popular in group fights. The third-year girls were more vicious. One of the girls picked up a wooden mop from the side. She directly slapped Zhu Lingling's head. Huamin reached out her hand to stop it. Then she kicked hard and the mop broke into 2. Then Huamin quickly picked up the mop from the ground and pointed it at the cheerleader's face. I'm sorry, hurry up and get your people to help. Otherwise, I might accidentally scratch your face, and then you won't be pretty anymore. How dare you? The girl was furious. Huamin didn't say anything. He moved the mop forward and the girls screamed in fear. Stop fighting. Sister Ing. Seeing that their boss had spoken, the girls immediately stopped. Stop fighting. Security will be here soon. Seeing that she didn't gain any advantage, the girl didn't want to continue. Most importantly, Huamin felt that if this continued, the two of them wouldn't be able to escape. If she didn't give the order, she would have to teach this cheerleader a lesson. Fuck, don't run. Keep fighting. Coward. When Zhu Lingling fought, she really didn't care about her life. One of them could fool several of them and then they would fight and bite each other like shrews. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After the women left, Huamin helped Zhu Lingling up. She was in a sorry state. Her hair was torn and messy and there were footprints all over her school uniform. Huamin threw down the mop and sighed slightly. Let's see if you'll still come to see the captain of the basketball team in the future. You're just sitting at home, but trouble is falling from the sky. It was really a disaster for no reason. Huamin wanted to continue lamenting. He thought that Zhu Lingling would be obedient, but she got even more excited. Fuck, I only wanted to look. These little bitches are too much. Now I'm going to do it for real. Then, without waiting for Huamin to stop her, she limped toward the door of the basketball team's locker room. Is Xing Yan here? Come out. Zhu Lingling let her long hair fall over her shoulders. She took off her school uniform and yelled at the men's locker room, "You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."